Yo, what is up, Crockxen clan members, anime fans, and others who have stumbled upon this video? I'm SoresanCrockxen, and today I'm doing an anime time for Unbreakable Machine Doll. Now, I'm making this video at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to try to be as quiet as possible because my dad is sleeping and my grandma's sleeping, so so essentially, this video is going to go up on Wednesday, so yeah, I've been trying to record ahead of time so you guys have a lot of videos during the week. But anyways, so Unbreakable Machine Doll. Oh my gosh, it's a freaking great series. 2013, not that long ago. I need a season 2. I do. This show was surprisingly interesting. Like for me personally, I have a thing when I'm going to watch a new series, I always go in at it skeptical because I already have this type of mentality where I know I like a specific type of show. So to go into like a new show that I know very little about, I always go in with like a kind of like, I don't know. It's weird. I kind of have this fear of like, oh, I'm gonna watch the first episode and I'm just gonna not even care about it anymore. But this show, it actually surprised me. It hits you hard like from the very get go. So and it just pulls you in that way. And they do this every episode, and it kind of got annoying towards the end, but it was that kind of annoying that it's like, okay, I just want to watch the rest of it because they always did cliffhangers every single episode besides the last one. They always pulled these cliffhangers that just pissed you off. You're just like, oh my gosh, I just want to see what happens next. And for a person who just marathons animes or a series, this is not a problem. But for a person like me who like cycles through shows where I'm watching more than one series at a time and I watch only like 2 to 3 episodes per series every time I reach it, it's frustrating. Because I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like I'm watching a weekly show, which does like sometimes they do that where you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to see what the rest of it. But with that's what made it good for me because it gave me that drive to go back to it the next time. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next time I reach a series in the cycle. I can't wait to watch it. Oh my gosh, I'm so pumped. But of course, I get getting mad because I'm like, oh dang it, I can't watch another episode of this round. I gotta wait for the next one. Um, so the premise of the show, because I should probably talk about the show it's about. You have these two characters, which are going to show up on the screen right now. You have Raishin and Yaya. So Raishin is what is a puppeteer. This show is centered around magic with puppets, but they're not really puppets. Well, I mean, they're considered dolls technically, but it's essentially the same thing. You have the human who is the puppeteer, and they have magic, and this magic is what allows them to control their doll in order for them to do crazy stuff, different attacks, different moves, and there's a variety of dolls that we see throughout the. There's really not a lot that are like they show a lot of them, right? But most of them are irrelevant, so we only see them like that one time, and then we just never really care too much about them. Um, but we have her, right? So Yaya is a doll, and she is the doll of Raishin. Why am I doing that? The pictures aren't even up anymore. But essentially, that's basically what's going on. He was about to die, and like he's from Japan. They're in England, right? This all takes place in a school in England. He's from Japan, and he almost died. And then this lady, this more mature, older lady, she's a very attractive lady, comes and basically saves his life, and then gives him Yaya to get revenge towards his brother, because his brother basically killed off his family, pulling an Itachi, but not really, because he's actually a bad guy. Well, I mean, I don't know because we didn't get to see that in the season, which is why I want another one. But basically, he's gonna get vengeance on his brother. Now, his brother ends up taking another persona named Magnus, and he goes to the school, which is why Raishin ends up going to the school. I kind of want to show a picture of him, but we don't really ever see his face because he always has a mask. If I do have a picture, it'll be up here somewhere. But essentially, he is the best puppeteer in the school. He actually has like I think it's like 7 dolls that he controls at a time. I think it was seven, something like it was either 6 or 7. Um, but essentially that's what's going on. They're like dang it. He controls them simultaneously, thus showing that he's basically better than everybody else. And these are highly advanced dolls too. Now, with a premise they show off throughout the series, which is actually a thing that kind of irked me, and probably the only issue I have with this anime, is that they throw off this concept of banned dolls. Basically, it's certain dolls that are made with not like the entire body, but has human parts in integrated somewhere in the body. And essentially, what this means is that the doll itself has a mind of its own, or it can actually work by itself. Um, Most dolls are supposed to need the help of a puppeteer to be able to do anything. They can't do anything. I mean, they can still walk around and they're still technically living beings, but they can't really do much else. Like, they can't fight, they can't defend anybody, they can't really do anything without the puppeteer's magic. Band dolls, on the other hand, don't need that. They still fight with their partner, but essentially something happens to the puppeteer, they can still do something. They can still fight back. They can still protect their master. Now they made it sound like this was a rare thing, or I mean that it's technically illegal, but it's or not even. It's kind of an issue. It's one of those topics. You know how government and politics. It's a very difficult subject, but essentially, it's not that they're illegal, but they're kind of wrong. Um, or they're not allowed for the most part in a lot of situations. But the school technically doesn't like it. There's people freaking. There's a but the main characters have band dolls. The Raishin's Yaya's a band doll. Freaking the gosh damn it, Magnus. All of his dolls are band dolls. There's this one the other characters. She's nicknamed Tyrant Rex. Her doll, which is a freaking dragon, he's a band doll. We have another guy who ends up, who's basically like the first villain character. He has a band doll, and it's like all these different characters they keep throwing at us that are supposed to be like main focus end up being using band dolls, and I'm like, what the freak is the point of making them sound like they're such a bad thing? But then you have all these people who are using them. It just made no sense. And then at the end, the last like mini. This is another. Actually, I should say I have two problems with this series. They decided to throw in a tournament in there, which is it's how the story was going. So there was supposed to be a tournament, but then they played it down near the end of the season because Raishin, like he's nicknamed second last because he had, excuse me, the second to last worst scorer in the entire entrance exam. He's a transfer student, so he has the second worst score, and he essentially like the tournament is supposed to go with like rankings, and it gets to a point where his opponent never shows up, and like it's one of those like battle royale type of tournaments where you start out with two people and then one of them is defeated or neither one is defeated, and then later on another one joins the fray, and they just supposed to keep piling up and piling up. The thing is, we ended up being in a certain stage where we had one of them that never showed up, and then there's like we really did like they ended up like it's 100 students that are supposed to be participating. We were still in the 80s, and we didn't really see any of the fights either. Like I think we only saw like the first 2 or 3 fights, and it was ridiculous. And like the tournament just got played down because we got introduced to like the final villain character of the season, and then it's like just played off of that to where the tournament just got watered down because that plot line ended up like messing with Tyrant Rex and her stuff because kind of turning her into a villain character, but at the same time more like, oh, I'm basically forcing you to do my bidding. Um, so they kind of like watered down the tournament, and it still makes it sound like they keep reiterating the fact that the tournament is still technically going on, but then they don't show anything about the tournament. So I'm like, why do you keep telling me the tournament is still going on when we see nothing about the tournament? Makes no sense. Um, and then Raishin himself, oh gosh, I can't believe I just. Well, I mean, it's not really an issue. I actually like the fact that they did this. Um, But essentially, they put Raishin at such a high level when even though he had the worst testing score, because he's not really smart. Well, he actually is pretty smart, but I don't know what the problem with that deal was. But anyways, essentially, they built him up to be a badass, right? And he keeps stating the fact that Yaya is the best automaton, which is their word for dolls, or they state that it's either automaton or dolls. The like the best one in the world. Like she's like the best one in the world. Nobody can beat her. But like so they set him up at such a high standard to where she's just gonna be running through all these guys. Yeah, he's gonna beat the second worst testing score, but he's gonna whoop everybody's ass. And they kind of pushed that, but then he kind of lost almost every match that he's ever been. Like it's not like one of those where because essentially the way the tournament was set up is that all the students have these gloves, and you actually have to take the glove off of the person, and that's how they're eliminated from the tournament. He lost on multiple occasions to different opponents, and like then he kind of like brushed it off to try to integrate into other subplots that ended up ending way too fast, or and then just stuff like that. So I kind of have them up here, and then all of a sudden we just see him lose and lose and lose and lose. Like we still, all the fights are badass. I gotta say, the one thing I do love about the show was the fighting was amazing. It was beautiful. It was so well animated, and they were just amazing. But they like he kept dropping down the ladder. I'm like, okay, so I guess he's not a badass. But he like the way he fought, you would still think he was gonna win that one, right? And it's not like he just got wrecked. No, the fights were kind of even, and like he just would lose. It was really weird. Um, but he never lost the glove, so technically he's in the tournament too. There's three people in the tournament don't even show up. Um, but he does like every fight he does. It's so strategic, and like the thing is, unlike other puppeteers, I've seen fights alongside Yaya because Yaya is one of those physical fighters to where his magic all it does. I actually can't even tell the difference most of the time, except she starts glowing in a different color. Which essentially she's I guess like just boosting strength or speed or basically enhancing physical abilities. And so he actually joins in the fray. So it's like fighting alongside her, whereas other puppeteers would just have the doll doing everything, and then them just standing in the back. Because normally the puppeteer is off access. You can't attack the puppeteer. That's bad. No, it's a big no-no. Um, but Yashin doesn't even care. That's kind of why we probably say he loses a lot. He tries to get involved most of the time. Excuse me. But yeah, so and oh my gosh, the opening is so freaking awesome too. I'm like hooked on that song. I keep listening to it every day. It's ridiculous. But it's a really good show. I really did enjoy it. I really want a season two, and I actually want to see Raishin grow because, like I said, we still don't even see him fight his brother. We do see them interact for a short, brief moment, but then nothing. I want to see them fight because it looks like it would be a badass fight because it's like six bad dolls versus one. But anyways, guys, so as a rating for this series, I'm gonna give it around a say like an 8 out of 10. I suggest it. I really do. You guys should definitely go watch it. But anyways, guys, this has been SoresanCrockxen. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in future videos.